Hello, hello. So excited to be with you for another show and another version of Authentically Living. So today I have something so important, but before we go in, there just is a trigger warning alert and a disclaimer that we will be talking about suicide. This will be a follow-up from our previous show, The Dark Side of Suicide with Cara. Today we actually have three other amazing ladies joining us. We have Catherine, Mel, and Angela, who have a very important message and story to share of their own, all related to suicide. So today we're actually going to talk about the battle of suicide and the web versus the law. So please do let us know if you have any questions in the comments. I will bring them up so that everyone can see your question. And of course, if you have anything that you want to share with us, you can remain anonymous if you let me know. Other than that, I can see that we have 3 viewers already, so this is exciting. So without further ado, I'll bring them right on. Hello, hello. Welcome, ladies.
Hi.
Hi.
All right.
Good. Thank you so much for joining me, ladies, and for sharing your time with us. I can see that we have 3 viewers, so this is going to be exciting. I'm going to go ahead and just tag in our Facebook group. That is our main place for sharing our podcast. But how are you all doing? Have you had a good week this week?
Yeah, not too bad.
Quiet, but good.
Quiet but good. That's good, I suppose. How big a deal is Easter actually for all of you? Because I know that Christmas is like beyond anything I could have comprehended in the UK. What about Easter? What do you guys do for Easter?
I'm not a lover of Easter myself, but that's just...
It's always quiet.
Yeah, quiet.
Yeah, same here. It's always quiet. It's just about family, really.
Yeah.
That's awesome, actually. So it's just an excuse to rest and eat chocolate then?
Yeah.
Of course.
I love that. So I can see that we're actually not live in the main group. Adam, I'm sure that you're there. Please let me know he is here. I just want to say Adam. Okay. I can't see us. Hopefully he can. So ladies, let's get straight into it. And I know that our topic is extremely sensitive today, but I know that there is so much light at the end of the tunnel. And, you know, even though you guys have gone through some really hard and difficult things, what you're doing now with that is absolutely amazing. So Angela and Catherine, tell us, how did you ladies meet? You know, how did you guys actually start this journey together?
Go on, Catherine. You start.
So we started doing, when we found out that Joe had used a website and a substance to kill himself, he left a note to the police to ask them to shut this site down, that it was dangerous and he couldn't be helped, but a lot of people could. The police just yeah, I won't go there. So by kind of middle of the year, we decided that we would do it. We would try and stop it and bring it down and stop the sale of this horrible substance. So we were talking to a couple of mums in the US, and one of them said that the New York Times was interested in doing a story. So they got in touch with us and we agreed to do it with them. We then had to make a list of
everyone that had been affected by the site.
Yeah. The families left of who they 100% knew that they were on this site and used that stuff. because we couldn't obviously just say, oh, well, there's this member on here that's saying they have that member. And I think it was October 21, just before the start, September, October 21, I found Angela through finding her son on there, messaged her, and she rang me straight away.
Amazing.
That's,
I think it's so difficult, you know, but it just to actually reach out to somebody and have them, you know, reach back, and the work that you ladies have been doing together ever since then is absolutely
The thing is, I
phenomenal.
think it was more, I was intrigued by the fact that she'd mentioned this website's name.
Oh.
And I was straight away thinking, who is this woman? Why is she on about that website? So curiosity got the better of me, and I just messaged Catherine back and said, I see you have an interest in this website. What's going on? And that
So had you already done your own research on the website itself as well? So you had already, you know, gone on your own journey because obviously you lost your phone.
Yeah. So I was actually told, because my son died in Scotland. He travelled to Scotland with a partner, so it was a double suicide. And it was actually the police in Scotland, when they were doing their investigation into their deaths, that had found the website, and then found their usernames on the website, and were going on and having a look on this website. So they actually told me that he was on this website. So I was already looking into this forum. And then we kind of went into lockdown not long after, and things kind of got put on hold.
Yeah.
So I did know quite a bit about the site, but I've not actually actively gone looking to see if there was anybody that was out there doing anything.
Yeah.
You know, where do you start looking? You know?
yeah.
Exactly. And did you ever feel like, although you want answers, did you ever feel like you just didn't want to go there? You just didn't want to look at it? You know, that must have been so hard for you, having to go to that site, looking at these things.
It is very hard, because even now, if we were to go on there and have a look, and you see the members that are on there, your mind always goes back to the fact that your child was also a member on there, and having the same discussions that are going on. And it is really, really hard sometimes. You know, you just want a break from it. It's not pleasant. It's not pleasant at all.
I'm sure.
On that question, it was a bit different for me, because my eldest son, Aaron, and Mel, the day Joe had died, because the police had told us the substance, they'd gone on to find out about that and found the site. They told me about it, but asked me not to go on it for a bit.
Yeah.
And it was only when we decided, when Mel said, look, we'll do something, I'll help you carry on. That said, if I'm going to do this, I'm going to have to have a look. Oh, it was awful. I remember the first few days, it's awful.
Wow. So Mel, were you the one on your side, you know, that actually first did this investigating and find this? And oh my gosh.
Yeah, when we knew what Joe had used, I was just having a look online, not knowing like how could something like that do what it's done.
Yeah.
So I was just typing things into Google, and that's how I came across this website. And I kept going backwards and forwards thinking, no, that can't be right. There can't be a website like that. That it just didn't look normal. So I came off it, and again, curiosity got the better of me, and I kept going back to it. And I thought, it's got to be. So I told Aaron, I said, look, I found this website, and I think this is where Joe's been. I think he found this information here. So he looked, and he says, it's got to be.
You found his thread then, didn't
we
you?
found Joe's threads on there where he was given the information and different things to try and the method to try. And then that's when we told Catherine that we've come across this website, but please don't go on it, because I know when I first found it, it haunted me for like the first few days thinking, what is this? But I kept going back.
Yeah, because I think when we find something like that, we just can't comprehend that there's something so dark and twisted in this world. It's just like, can't be true. It's almost like you want to wake up from the dream, and I can't imagine that you see his actual thread there. So was it as simple as typing in this, say, method or whatever and into Google, and this site comes up? Is it that easy to just find something this crazy?
Yeah.
Shocking. And Cara, I remember, in our previous podcast, you shared that it was just as easy for you to actually find the site yourself. But if I remember correctly, you were looking more for like a community or something like that, right?
No, I was looking for methods.
Oh, methods.
Yeah, and found it from there.
Just
and it was really simple to
crazy.
find.
It's just it's mind-boggling that you can just simply go on, say, how do I do this? And voila, there's your answer,
Yeah.
So now, ladies, how long have you been on this mission? So I would love for you to share with the viewers and with me, just like, what is this mission? What is this purpose that you have now taken on as your own? What is going on at the moment behind the scenes?
32 months for us.
2.5 years,
2.5 years, wow.
2.5 years,
September.
3 years, September, yeah.
And I've known Catherine and kind of been doing this since
the day
around about November, December 2021.
Wow, that's a long time. So what is this journey, had in store for you ladies? I know that you're doing some really amazing stuff in terms of getting this site down, hopefully. And obviously these methods not being able to come into the UK and all of those things.
Well, we've had a lot. We've done quite a few stories. We don't want stories. We want action.
Yeah.
Our hands are tied a little bit because we have to wait for the online harms bill. That does look promising.
It looks promising to a degree.
But I'm not going to say that I've got 100% faith in it. I can't, not until it's out there.
No, things need tweaking, don't they? Yeah, things need tweaking. Yeah.
Like they've said all along that it would be for under 18s.
Yeah.
It can't be just for under 18s. It has to be for any age, because anybody at any age can feel themselves in that mindset. It needs to be for anybody vulnerable.
Yeah,
absolutely. Anybody vulnerable. And the sad thing about this site is they are like preying on the vulnerable, these people are going there, and I think you said they're being coached, right? So it's not just a case of this is how I feel. Can somebody maybe talk me out of it? They're going there and they're being told exactly what to do, and they're being sold the stuff as well. So it's almost like the site has made a full-blown business out of this.
Joe went on and said, obviously we've got the thread, the post that he made, and he said that he was feeling low, was feeling down. He told them the issues, why he'd had a breakup with his girlfriend. He was 23. We all have breakups and we all think it's the end of the world, and it's really not. And he said he couldn't hurt himself, and straight away use this. This is how you do it. Get it from there, and safe travel. See you later. Bye. That's it.
Yeah.
That is it. 10 days he was on, and 5 of those days he was waiting for the substance to come.
That's like really not a long time frame at all.
No.
Not at all. And any one person on that side could have just said, it's not necessary, you know.
Yeah.
But you get into trouble for saying that.
You got
You
banned
can't
back
do
in the
that.
day.
You're not
No.
allowed to say anything like
Really?
that.
You got banned.
Yeah.
You're not allowed to seek help. It's the worst thing you could possibly do.
So let's just talk about that a little bit more. Let's say I go onto the site and I just say, oh, I'm feeling really low, you know, but I'm just looking for community, and someone offers that to me and I say, no, thanks, I'm not there yet. They are going to what? Block me immediately, or they're going to make me feel bad first? Are they going to try convince me? What does it look like on the other side?
Well, they're going to try and convince you that things don't get better, that they only get worse, that there's no hope. So even if you were there as a member to say that you're not quite, you know, suicidal yet, they will convince you that there's no other option than to take your life.
What are you
And
waiting
they'll
for,
just keep
basically?
working. Yeah, they'll just keep working on you. It's all coercion. It's all about drip feeding.
It's just
And not to speak out to family, tell anybody how you're feeling, even if you're having suicidal thoughts. Don't tell them, they'll put you in hospital. That's their instant thought, is you'll be put into hospital. That's the only thing that'll happen.
And
That's
it's the
the scare
parents' fault.
tactic.
It's parents' fault.
It's the parents'
Yeah.
fault.
That's just so shocking. So they actually like make you way too afraid to say anything or ask for help.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Because you don't want to be committed. Obviously, nobody does.
It's a mindset that you end up developing when you're there very, very quickly.
Yeah.
And I'm speaking what happened to me. I mean, it's almost like this undercurrent that you don't say you want to live. That, you know, they might sort of now and then say now, yeah, it's okay if you don't want to sort of die now, but you spend more time there, and the mindset changes completely to what they are pumping out all the time.
Mm-hmm.
And if someone does dare say, oh, you know, hold on a second, you're a bit young, or hold on, have you tried this or whatever, people have come out and called them trolls and disgraceful for interfering with people's choice of dying, and it's horrific, and your mindset does change.
Yeah.
It really, really
the
does.
usual is pro-lifers.
Yeah.
Yeah. Mm. Yeah.
It's just so crazy. And when we talk about these people that are doing these things, do you have any idea? Obviously, we don't need to mention now, but are you at least on the right path to finding these people? Whoever created this freaking website, and what's
We know who created it and who's behind it, the main two, and we have good ideas as to who others are on there as well.
so what happens to them? Is anything going to happen to them? You know, like the way that I see it, and maybe I'm wrong, is that they're murderers, downright murderers. It's got nothing to do with people taking their own life. You're kind of pushing people into a corner, you know, grooming them. It's just so sad. How does the law see that? So obviously you guys,
Because it's something that's happening online, it's not seen as a criminal offence. But
And it should be. Yeah.
if this was happening in person with people, you would be in prison for 14 years for assisting suicide. But because it's online and because it's usernames and people remain anonymous, or so they sometimes believe,
Yeah.
they think they're untouchable.
but I don't understand that, because it's people, it's real life people. I mean, if you can, let's say the government or whatever was hacked, they would be able to find the person on the other side of that IP address. They would be able to do that in a heartbeat. So
Of course.
why not now?
Because our children's lives aren't worth enough.
It's just shocking, you know. And this is just one one website, right?
One.
One.
Yeah.
I can't even begin to imagine what else is out there. I mean, we read lots on the news, and I've come across some horrific stories. And like we've said, the brain just can't comprehend it. You have to second think about this. Can this really be happening? But it is, and our children are just not safe. Even as adults, they're not safe, which is just heartbreaking.
Vulnerable people aren't safe if they find that website, because even when on the website you kind of say, I'm not vulnerable, I make my own choices, I know what I'm doing. You don't. You just don't in that moment. And I've been there a few times. And as much as you might like to think you are, if you're in that space to want to do that, you're vulnerable.
Yeah.
You're vulnerable.
Absolutely.
And it just takes one person to sort of say, whoa, hold on a second, next chat, to change that and just give you a different perspective.
Yep.
And it can change. It's not so much about, like they'll carry on about, platitudes and whatever. I hate that. But it's just that one little thing, if someone gave one chance, one word, can make a huge difference for someone who's not ready to do that. They may think they are, but they're not.
Absolutely.
And it's just I
It's
don't know.
it's the government know about it since 2018.
I just don't understand how the site is actually still up. I mean, surely there are ways. I mean, they can block us from saying and doing anything on social media that, makes them look bad. How do they not take the site down? I think the big thing that I don't understand.
They can if they choose that they want to, but because the site itself isn't a UK based site, they think, oh, someone else will do it. But they have the power to physically block that site, anybody in the UK having access to it. It's been blocked in Italy, Germany, and Australia. So they do have the powers to be able to do it. They've given like Google and search engines the opportunity to stop bringing it up in their searches. But because they're making money off of it, they're basically making money off people's death.
Yeah.
It's just shocking.
That's why they went.
Absolutely shocking.
It's
It's just heartbreaking to even think that, the people that are meant to protect us, but I guess this is in a lot of things that we see. And when I do these shows or speak to people in these groups, a lot of the time they say that they're not really supported. Even if they do reach out for help because they are feeling this way, they don't really get the help that they need. So I guess people are even forced to go find that help somewhere else. And this is how they end up on sites like this. So how do you ladies feel about, the help that you may get in the UK? Obviously, we have listeners all over. So if there's anyone else, tell us about your country and the help that you get. But predominantly here in the UK, do you think there is help outside of Google?
And very little.
yeah.
I think the mental health system, no matter what country you're in, is sadly lacking everywhere. I think that their approach is all wrong. The system is all wrong. There's still this really, really bad taboo about suicide. And I don't understand in this day and age that people still feel that they have to hide the fact that they feel suicidal.
Yeah.
And the answer to feeling suicidal is to lock you up in some psych ward. And that does not work. It does not work.
No.
I hate to say it out loud because I've been there myself, but I think just living in this world that has been created to make us fail makes you suicidal in itself. I think we've all been there once or twice where we're just like, want to hang in the towel. I've had enough, and just to at least be supported through that, I think would be so amazing. But I mean, I even saw yesterday, I was in training because I also work in mental health, and there's this committee that you need to report everything to if there's an accident or whatever. And, you report deaths, but they don't want to know about suicide. That's not important.
No,
No.
nobody
So
wants to know
my
about
question
suicide.
was, why? That's still a death. Oh, but they chose that. How do you know that the service they were in or the support they were getting didn't push them to kill themselves? You know, they don't even want to look at that. They're like, oh, well, suicide, just write it off. There's no question around it, the whys, the ifs, the buts. I mean, like this, your boys, they're gone. You can't get them back. And no one is prepared to even go down that road to help somebody else live. You know, that's so scary. You ladies have taken that on your own, to reach out to these people on the sites and to give them hope, to give them support. That's a lot for you ladies to take on your shoulders, but like, I really commend you for that.
And the mental health systems are aware of these sites. They know about them. And I know Joe was open that he had said to them that he had been researching methods, and that again they did nothing. They didn't do anything to intervene. They don't actually listen to their patients. They don't hear what they are saying and what help they want. They just push them from person to person and think, oh, I've seen them today, so there can be someone else's problem tomorrow. They don't want to listen.
So sad.
We spoke to one
It's like,
person.
here's a prescription, be on your way until a month's time. You know, everything's all about writing prescriptions and offering people CBT and things, and the system is just broken. It just doesn't work anymore. There needs to be a different approach to mental health.
I hate to say it, but just like looking at it and you know, in the UK, and I feel like it's a very big problem here in the UK. Like, unless it's just because I'm in it now, I didn't really see it back home, but it's very prominent here. And it's almost like this huge business. That's how I see it, actually, is it's just all about the money. No one really cares about the person that needs the help, the treatment, the support. You know, a lot of the people that I see every day are not getting the support they need. And it's absolutely heartbreaking. I think it's shocking.
It is. We were talking we spoke to one lad not so long back. He sadly did do it. We rung the police on him, and they got there, and because he had previously tried to jump, because he was dressed and not in his pajamas, he was fine. He could be left. And they walked away and left him, and the next morning he'd done it.
So they had the opportunity to save him and they didn't?
Because he was dressed. Because he was in his pajamas, sorry. Because he was in his pajamas.
What does that have to do with anything?
And we told them he has something with him that he's going to use to end his life. But because
he tried to jump before,
they didn't.
Because he was in his pajamas, he wouldn't go out and do it. Like anybody suicidal.
I think when you're in that frame of mind, you're really not thinking about what you're wearing.
Mm-hmm.
Exactly.
That's the last thing you're thinking about.
Yep. Honestly, that's what they said.
Yeah.
It actually makes me so furious inside. I can't even imagine like the emotional roller coaster you ladies have all been on, all four of you, you know, the ups, the downs, the helping other people, all of that. So for those that are, you know, listening or catching us on the replay, and maybe they are feeling, you know, like it's the end of the road, what would you say to them? You know, instead of finding these ways on the internet, what else could they do?
There is always light at the end of the tunnel, and there is help.
Don't be embarrassed to talk about how you're feeling.
I think that's a big one.
Yeah.
No matter who you can confide in, a family member, a friend,
anybody.
that you feel you can talk to.
I do believe that is the first thing, that once you can accept it and you admit that to somebody, that's a lot of your battle over before you've even begun.
Yeah. And I also think that in mental health services, when you've got a person that presents themselves with mental health issues, I think that if they've got a friend, a mentor, a family member that can accompany them to their mental health appointments,
Yeah.
so that they can not only be there to support that person, but maybe add information that, that the psychiatrist or psychologist might not be aware of, because the patient hasn't told them, may have forgotten about things. So I think sometimes there's a lot of people that present themselves with mental health issues that their psychiatrist doesn't have the full picture of what's going on. And I think it's helpful to have somebody there with them to do that.
Definitely. And I think sometimes, when you're that down and out, you're not capable of actually sharing all the information. It's hard for you to even acknowledge what's really going on some of the time, I think.
Yeah. When my son, when he told the mental health practitioners that he was feeling suicidal, and they never contacted any family member to tell us that he was feeling suicidal. And had they have done, we would have been, or may have been, able to do something. We may have been able to step in and try and do something, but we weren't given that opportunity. And it's all because of data protection and the rights of the patient. Well, if the patient is not in the right frame of mind and is going down the lines of thinking that they're looking for methods to be able to take their own lives, there must be some sort of information, some intervention that overrides data protection for that person.
100%.
But if it were the other way around and the doctor assumed that you as a mother were abusing your son, they would happily go to the police and tell the police that you're doing something wrong. But to save somebody's life, they're not even going to share that information. It's just boggling. It really is backwards.
They're over 18. They're an adult. They can do what they please. They can be responsible for their own actions and things like that. Well, no, that's not the case. No. That's not the case. When you're in that frame of mind, that you are contemplating taking your life, you're in a space that not even psychiatrists, unless they've been there themselves, would fully appreciate how dark that place is and how hard it is to try and get out of that black hole. And they need help, and they need help from family members, from friends, from mentors, anybody, and yet they don't. It's like, no, we can't tell anybody this. It's all confidential.
Yeah. That's really, really crazy. And, I have to just agree with communicating these things, I think, because I think that's been my savior through my depression and things like that, is that I've become extremely vocal. My poor husband, I tell him everything. If I'm having a bad day, I'm having a bad day. I'll sit on the floor and cry and scream like a little child if that's what I need to do and need to be heard, and say that I'm really not coping. And I think it's pretty normal to do that. And we have to normalize this. We have to let people know that it's okay to say that you're not okay. And if you have these thoughts, to say it out loud, to let someone help you, because most of the time we'll be quite surprised how many other people are feeling the same or have felt the same in the past,
Yeah, definitely.
There's so many people that do feel that all the time, and a lot of people wouldn't even know that that's what's going on with them. You just wouldn't know. But when someone does actually approach you for help, or actually has the guts to say, "Whoa, I'm not doing so great here," take it seriously first and foremost, because because that takes so much guts to actually admit to that, to that point.
Definitely.
And there will always be someone who will listen. So if the first person does and the second person, just keep going. Someone will hear. You know?
Yeah, I find that mental health services can be quite flippant about certain things that you're presenting yourself with. So I've seen time and time again where GPs, psychiatrists, psychologists have said it's just anxiety, it's just a bit of depression. You know, these things need to be taken more seriously, because if they're not taken seriously from the first instance, that's when things start to slide in that person's mental health, that make them then go down that route of thinking, my God, there's no way out of this. It's you know, because they're not taken seriously with these things.
No, they're not.
And misdiagnosis is another one. We seem to have a big problem in this country with getting the diagnosis right.
I was just about to say that, because there's two ends of the spectrum, you know, it's that just something when actually it's not just that. And then, you know, I've gone down this road with my own daughter, and we've gone through the whole system, and it's been an absolute nightmare, you know, and as a mom, you're just like, you know, I can probably do a better job at home. And then because of her age, now we've been shoved to the GP. First visit with the GP, and he's like, oh, it's definitely bipolar, blah, blah. And I'm like, excuse me, what? Where does this
no assessment, no nothing.
And no assessment, no nothing. Thank heavens he said he can't medicate her. Thank goodness. And now I'm going private, and we found a lovely lady, and I'm just hoping that, you know, we can go a different route. But it's that misdiagnosing and then mismedicating. I mean, I've heard so many stories about people just being on the wrong medication, not even suicidal, not even depressed, and just given the wrong meds, and within a few days they're dead, because they've committed suicide because of how that medication makes them feel. So it's really not something that can be played with. And I think there's just such a huge misunderstanding and stigma around mental health, and it's really, really awful. Do you ladies think it's ever going to change? I mean,
no,
not anytime soon. No, unfortunately, no. I really don't. The whole system needs scrapping. It needs raising to the ground and starting from the ground up, because nothing in our system in this country for mental health works. Nothing.
I think it's the same all over. That is the only thing that I agree with that website, and that is the mental health system all over is
shocking.
Yeah.
It may be, you know, it is bad all over, but just going back to what Terri was saying just now, if someone's in a position, what would you say for them to not sort of do? I'd like to don't go looking for things, because as much as you want to go look for a community, the community is not always the right thing. Because, you know, you get into these communities and yes, nobody's saying at this website that there shouldn't be a place where people can go to talk.
No.
But it's about finding the correct help, matching that person up with the correct help, signposting.
Yeah.
It's not about that. That website doesn't do that at all.
No.
So it's just, you know, and when you're in that mindset, if you feel your mindset change, or you kind of step away, just step away, because it gripped me so fast.
And there's that fine line, right, between finding a community and being trapped in a dark hole. Because going to a site like that, you think you're going, oh, this is my place, these are my people, they understand, whereas it's not what you want. And we need to create more spaces where there is that love, that light, and real community of understanding, you know, but not in such a negative way, like that it is promoting that hope, you know, space for you to talk about these things and know that you're not alone, rather than talk about them and be pushed down the end of the line.
Which, like Cara said, there should be a space to talk about how you're feeling. It obviously, but this website, they're not mental health professionals. No. They're just any old person off the street, hidden behind a username, hidden behind a fake picture, that you think you could be talking to a 19-year-old girl when actually you're talking to a 50-year-old man.
And it's so scary to think that these people, it's almost like that is their mission. They're sitting behind that screen, they're getting a kick out of this. Oh, there's another one to tick off the list. You know, another one bites the dust. And that's the part I think I just can't comprehend. Is that there's someone on the other side of the screen just counting how many deaths they've caused.
There is somebody that has actually bragged about they've helped over 1,000 people kill themselves.
There was one
it's
yesterday.
quite a predatory. Yeah, it's quite a predatory place. And then when you look at the admin, you look at the moderators, these are suicidal people themselves that are trying to moderate suicidal people.
They're not suicidal anymore, they're just...
No, they're predatory.
I think that's just the mask that they wear, you know.
Yesterday, there was somebody put on there, they were actually really upset because the suicide discussion wasn't about suicide anymore. It wasn't real suicide.
It wasn't the gory stuff anymore. It was just people talking. And
they don't like that.
They don't like it. It's not what it used to be. They need to start talking more about suicide, as in how you're going to do it.
Methods, refining them, perfecting them.
That even the self-harm talk isn't good enough anymore. It's not.
It's got to be suicide. It's a suicide discussion, so please let's talk about suicide.
Let's not talk about how we're feeling or anything. They want to talk about people doing it.
And they want to read the threads, don't they, where people are saying, right, I'm going to be taking this at this time and this is what's happening. They want to run in commentary on somebody's death.
They've live streamed
while they're dying.
Yeah. They've documented, they've live streamed, they've done all sorts on there. Nothing at all shocks us anymore.
Be on there sort of, you know, carrying out their method, and you'll get people saying, or safe travels, whatever, but it will be one or two people will go on and say, so what exactly are you doing? Could you let us know how you're feeling, or what's this?
Make sure no one
is dying.
Make sure no one hears you. Then with that particular one, make sure you've got a second glass in case you're sick. Don't let the team down.
Make sure you've got enough time to be by yourself.
Yeah.
So nobody finds you.
So it won't work. Yeah.
And I just don't get it. The police see this. The government knows what's going on. It's there in plain sight. It's not even like it's hidden, and nothing is being done.
No,
can't.
The police couldn't care less. They just view everything as, it's just a suicide. It's just a suicide. That's all it is to them.
But something I, paid attention to, and just because I've been seeing a lot since COVID and how the police do their thing, and I'm sure they're just doing their job. But something so simple. Yesterday, my husband and I went to our favorite coffee shop, and we're sitting, and we always sit by the window. And there's this guy that sits close to the Sainsbury there. It's like a little grocery store. He is there pretty much every day. I'm pretty sure he's homeless. He means no harm. He doesn't beg. He doesn't do anything. He just sits on the bench there. Yesterday, there were 5 police around him, like huddled around him. And my husband and I just watched this. And my first thing I said was, where has our compassion gone? As human beings, even if they're doing their job. I mean, there's 5 of them. He's doing nothing wrong. I mean, he's got nowhere to go. Where do you want him to go? He doesn't have a place to go. And here you're just bullying this man because he's sitting on the bench and he shouldn't be there. But that's just how it is. Everybody is just moving around with these blinkers on. Nobody cares about anybody else. It's just like, as long as it's not happening to me, I don't care. I feel heartbroken that that's the world that we live in.
Yeah, me too.
Yeah, and that is it. That is it.
It's exactly it. There's no compassion, lack of humanity.
No.
Exactly.
People don't have that anymore. There is just none of it, and it's just you know, I'm just looking at my screen now, and just the three ladies in front of me, Catherine, Mel, and Angela. I can't tell you how much respect I've got for them and what they've been doing through horrible grief. And some people on that website, how there's not even no compassion. They're not human to be able to do what they've done to these people. What the words they've spoken to these moms who've lost their boys. I still to this day can't get my head around it. I will never get my head around it.
But it's too easy. It's too easy to just hide behind a screen and be an absolute pig.
It's disgraceful.
That's being polite.
Yeah.
You know, and it's always about, it's the parents to blame. It's the parents to blame. It's all they can say. That's all they say. And it's like, well, what about your parents? There's so many things I'd love to say to them. I can't. I've got to be so careful because I could just use so many expletives. We
live in a society where nobody wants to take responsibility anymore.
Yeah.
It's always somebody else's fault. There's always somebody else to blame. They don't want to take responsibility for their own actions.
And it's infuriating because that's how we've been conditioned and programmed, actually. It takes some real balls to take radical responsibility for your own shit. Excuse my language, ladies, but it does. You know, we are all responsible for our own actions at the end of the day. We've all got hard stories, and it's freaking hard being a parent. Our kids don't come with manuals, and it makes it even harder when they're told not to trust us and not to talk to us, you know. So I really take my hats off to you guys as well, after everything that you've been through, that you're still fighting this fight.
It's amazing. It's amazing what they do, I tell you.
I just don't want anyone else to be sat in our shoes, because it destroys you. Honestly, it just takes everything away from it.
Yeah.
Can't even begin to imagine. Can't even begin. And you know, that's something else I want to ask you, ladies. You know, it's so hard to know what is the right thing to do with our kids, but if you could give any piece of advice to, you know, the people that are supporting or needing to help somebody that's feeling this way. I mean, I remember when I was down and I would say it out loud, you know, I don't feel so great and I really just don't want to be here anymore. It's a case of, just be strong, man. You'll get over it. You know, don't worry about it. Don't even think about it. And that's probably the worst thing you can say to somebody. Brush them off like that and make as if how they feel doesn't matter. So what would you say to the parents, the family, the friends that need to be there and support these people?
I think first and foremost, the best quality you can offer these people is your ear. You know, you just have to listen. I mean properly listen. Pick up on all the little things that you might not always hear. You know, do you know what I mean? You know, it is a case of hearing everything and acting on what you are hearing.
Yeah.
And talk to your children. I mean, I thought that I could talk to my son, but the minute he got on that site, he was so conditioned to the point of, I mean, I call it brainwashing. That's what they do on that site.
It is.
Yeah, you don't tell your parents this, you don't tell your family that, you act this way. Don't forget to delete everything from off your devices. When you're up against that, you don't know that this site exists until it's too late. You know. But to anybody out there that's got a child that is suffering with their mental health, I think you have to be understanding. You've got to listen. You have to talk. You've got to support them. You know.
Sure.
And I think that's the biggest thing. Even if that you don't understand, you know, just at least listen.
Yeah.
Just ask directly about what they're doing online.
Yeah.
Ask them straight up, because nobody asks that. Nobody asks that.
No, they don't.
I'm
just moved
very
in because
like
my battery is nearly dead. Sorry,
Oh,
I'm really sorry.
that's okay. You move.
It's normally
This
Catherine's
is so
battery.
I was just about to say, I'm really today.
We're plugged in.
We're plugged in.
And I think that's a big thing.
I was with my phone, but with having to swap to my iPad.
Oopsie, we'll blame the tablet.
Right, I'm plugged in.
Yay! And you know, I think that that's such an important thing, ladies, is that we need to be aware of what our kids are doing online. You know, I think it's too easy for us, and it doesn't make us wrong, but we're tired, we're busy, and sometimes it's just easier for our kids to be in front of a screen so that we can have 5 minutes or cook dinner or whatever. But at the end of the day, we need to know what they're doing. You know, just talking about this, and this is, I'm not sure if anyone else watching is triggered by it, but when you talk about these things that they're doing online, it's extremely triggering for me because I remember being groomed, right, by a pedophile, and that's exactly what it is. It's this grooming, and for somebody that hasn't been in that position, maybe they don't understand, but it is, you're completely brainwashed. You believe every single word that person is saying, and you become so fearful to talk about what's happening to you, even though it's so wrong. So I think it's so important for us to pay attention to that, pay attention to what's happening online, pay attention to our children. What are they saying? What are they doing? And always talk about these things. I think this is the biggest lesson that I've learned through all of this, the work that I do in my own experience, is to talk to my children about it. When I told my son that he cannot use YouTube like that anymore, I explained to him why. And I don't care that he's only 10 years old. The world is sick and he needs to understand. Obviously, I didn't go into a lot of detail, but I said horrible things happen to people online, and this is why. And I explained. The more we are open and honest with our children, the more they can be open and honest with us. I honestly believe that wholeheartedly.
Exactly.
Oh, for sure.
Yeah,
I agree with that completely.
Yeah.
And I think it is about just being honest and transparent. You expect your kids to be honest with you, so I think they deserve the very least from us as parents. You know, but it's also just one thing I want to add from the other side of it, from being suicidal. And you know, I'm not a young person, and I've been feeling these kind of things, and I've felt it most of my life. But for a young person who can be confused by the feelings as well. And as a parent, it is scary. If your kid comes to you and tells you that's what they're feeling, you're going to be frightened. All I want to try and say from my side is, don't go in there with advice at all. Just listen. Just let them talk. Don't try and overpower them, overbear them. Just listen and then try and talk. You go in straight with advice, you're going to drive them straight to these websites. And I hate saying that. You know, from things that were said to me by a mental health team drove me there. So when a kid comes to you and says to you, I'm feeling like A, B, and C, you just sit down and you, right, let's chat then. You know.
Yeah. I think that's so important, you know, and that's again what Angela said, like actually listening. If you're actually listening, there is no room for advice, you know, because we can't advise on things that we don't understand.
No. And it's difficult because obviously you will feel fear, and fear is a horrible thing. But it's almost like, put yourself in that kid's position. What fear are they feeling? Put yours aside and just be there, you know, as a parent. And yes, it can be difficult. It can be very, very difficult. I've been at that point with one of my kids myself, but it's you've got to just sit and listen and just let them talk. If they've got to that point of actually opening up, just let them talk and let them say it how they need to say it.
Yeah, exactly. Yeah.
Definitely. I mean, for anybody, not just a child, but anybody, to have the nerve to actually say it out loud, give them the space. Give them the space to do that, because it takes guts to say it out loud.
Of course.
Yeah, absolutely.
And don't go looking for something. Just don't. Contact me, contact Catherine, contact Angela.
Yeah.
No, just
Well,
Any
then,
don't.
of us.
Seriously, just
Absolutely, any of us.
don't.
And I think this is the biggest thing why we have these podcasts and we bring on the speakers, just so that our listeners can understand that they're actually not as alone as they may feel,
Yeah.
and that there is always someone there willing to listen, and willing to be that support structure, you know. And I know you ladies, all of you, would be that person for anybody in need. So thank you for being
100%.
We've always
Yeah.
said that if anybody wants to get in touch, they can. We get people that have been on the site, are on the site and are looking for a way of getting away from the site, but are struggling because they're that drawn into it that they just don't know which way to go. You know, we get a number of people getting in touch that we'd sit and listen to
We've all
anytime,
said we'd sit and listen to them 24 hours a day,
as long as they're not on
as
there.
long as they're not on their own and they're not on there.
And they do. I can vouch for that because that's why I'm here. So I can 100% vouch for that. You reach out, they will listen, and they do.
Amazing. So, ladies, what's next from here? You know, do you ladies have any other shows coming up? Have you created a group? Have you started your own community?
No,
We just keep fighting. Yeah, that's what's
I
next.
think
Carry
I think
on
at
the
the moment
fight.
it is more lobbying government. That's the route that we're kind of taking at the moment. It seems to be the best strategy to constantly be on at the government and lobbying for all of this stuff for better protection for anybody out there that is suffering with their mental health that might end up on one of these sites. And where there's one site, that there'll be others. We need to stop all of them, you know?
We've just, it's just been, you've just got to be on everything all the time to watch what's going on, see what we can do to stop it, and then just talking to the right people at that right time for what they can do.
And going in there with every bit of evidence that we've got.
Yeah.
Because there's a lot.
That's the main.
Is gathering the evidence to show these people this is what
so much.
Yeah.
It's all right saying this is happening, this is going on, but to physically show the evidence is proven that it is happening.
Yeah. Just thinking about that, you ladies must be exhausted. I really hope that you are looking after yourselves. You know, your boys, as much as you're doing this in their name, I'm sure your boys need you to be okay at the same time, you know.
Yeah.
No, we're not looking after ourselves. We don't care.
Said every mom. So I think that's just such a mom thing.
Yeah.
It's not my job to take care of myself.
Yeah. Definitely.
They won't stop. They're not going to stop till it's done, and behind them every step of the way.
Yeah. I'm behind you ladies as well. And anybody that's listening that, you know, wants to help in some way or another, what can they do?
They can get in.
They can go to their MPs. They can lobby their government for the online safety bill to include over 18s, to protect vulnerable people. So that is the easiest route, to just go to your MP, tell your MP you're not happy that there's these things that are online and that children and people, vulnerable people over the age of 18 need protecting. That is what people can do. That is what gets you heard.
Absolutely. So just start your own fight. Take it yourself. I think the more people that stand up collectively, you know, maybe we can eventually be heard.
Yeah, definitely.
Yeah.
Exactly.
And do you think it would help, ladies, for us to create a space, create a safe space that people...
Yeah, definitely.
Yeah, we did say that when we've got this site down, that is something that Catherine and Mel had mentioned, kind of going down that route of maybe getting a safe space, you know, where people can talk about how, you know, that they're, when they feel suicidal, they can talk to themselves, but it will be monitored very closely. They'll get the help that they need online. That you know, it's not going to be anything like this other forum.
Yeah.
But yeah, definitely looking into possibly doing a safe space for people.
Amazing.
Yeah,
I
it's got to be
absolutely
done,
love
definitely.
that. Yeah.
Yeah.
Definitely. And please let me know if I can help with any of that. Cara and I have spoken about it as well. So maybe even just a Facebook group for now, or something that we can start. And for anybody that is listening, please remember that you can reach out to any one of us. If this is something that you're struggling with, please don't feel alone. We're all here, and we can understand as best as we can. But you don't have to do this alone. And Adam has commented here. I think he's just gotten so excited that we have a ladies panel. And he says that we need to do this for men's as well. You know, and this is
We really
something
do, though.
we
Men
really
need
do.
it.
So, you know, what's your opinion on mental health when it comes to men? You know, these were your boys, and men are taught that they need to be strong and that they don't cry, that they don't have feelings. So what's your opinion just on men's mental health?
Yeah, I mean, after Brett had died, I didn't realise just how bad men's mental health was. It was a real eye-opener for me, you know, because you always think that maybe suicide is kind of like an equal thing, but to have somebody say, oh no, you know, probably 70% of suicides are men, is absolutely shocking, you know. And that to me is where those safe spaces need to be.
Yeah.
Not that I'm eliminating women out of it, but I do think that the priority would be targeting certain age groups of men, you know, for mental health discussions and things like that. I mean, you see it all the time.
Yeah.
And it's breaking the stigma for men, that
Yes.
men can talk and men can have feelings as well.
Yeah.
And
Yeah.
they, no matter what they're feeling, it's okay to be emotional, to break down that stigma that you have to be a strong man all the time, because you don't.
It's just heartbreaking actually to see. And I just hope that, you know, with the kind of work that we're all doing, and the way people are slowly starting to wake up and see that the conditioning that we have is wrong, that this is eventually going to change. But I mean, you know, I love my husband to bits and pieces, but I see it with him, you know, the moment things are not going well inside, he just shuts down, and he's not able to talk. Even though he trusts me, he just doesn't know how, because I think all of them as young boys are just taught that doesn't matter.
That they don't talk,
You
and
just
that they have to
carry
protect
on. You don't talk.
everybody
There's no
else.
such thing as a feeling. You know, and it's heartbreaking. And that's why, you know, my little boy, I encourage him to cry as much as he needs. Like, I don't care that he's 10 and he still cries, and he knows that he's allowed to have feelings no matter how big they are. But even because of his friends or the shows sometimes he watches, he struggles, you know, even though he has that safe space. So I think it's so important that we're all just creating that safe space as much as we possibly can.
Yeah, because it's like you said, we need to be reinforcing to men that it is acceptable, you know, that they are the same as everybody. We all have emotions. We you know, we all have these crises, and I think it's the way that we deal with them, and we do condition the males in our society to be, well, you've got to be the backbone, you've got to be the strong one, you've got to take all this on your shoulders, and it shouldn't be like that. It really shouldn't be like that.
No,
not at all.
definitely not. And the more we say this, ladies, hopefully the more men will see that we get it. And
yeah, it's not a sign of weakness. It absolutely is not.
Absolutely not.
No.
Not at all. Not. And the moment they let out the tears, we won't look so crazy anymore, right?
That's true, yeah. Oh, bless them.
Ladies, thank you so very much for your time. Is there anything else? I've taken you way over the hour. I'm sorry.
No,
Is there
No, it's
anything
fine.
else? Is there anything else you want to share before we jump off?
No, I was just about to say, sorry, someone came to our door, so Catherine had to go and answer it. That's where she's gone to. Yeah, we can always guarantee that happens.
Yeah. And I don't want to add anything other than the fact that I've sat here for the past 15 minutes trying to get the angle right on this iPad, and I still feel like I'm like just on half of the screen. So,
No, we can see you, so that's good. You're just sitting a little to the side.
but-
We can still see your beautiful face.
it's because I've had to plug it in, and my wire won't reach far enough.
I know that feeling.
Yeah.
No, I just
No,
think
just one thing I'd like to say before I go off as well is just to thank all three of these ladies. They are amazing, do an amazing job, and I will value them for my life.
Oh, thank you, Cara. That is so nice.
just know that we're always here for anybody to talk to, and Cara, you know that we're always here for you.
Yeah,
and
that's it.
that we're not gonna, we're not gonna give up this fight until it's gone.
Yeah.
That's it.
Like we
And
said,
that's the thing through our hardships, and it's hard to go through these things, and you don't wish it upon anybody, but somehow it becomes our purpose and our life's mission, right?
Yeah.
So just knowing that everything that you've gone through and their deaths are not in vain, and I just hope that all of this can come together, and that one day we can wake up, ladies, and we're not in such a fucking dark world, because it's just so sick out there.
I think the part that keeps us going is that this was like one of Joe's final wishes.
Yeah.
He physically wrote it in a letter to the police, not to us, to the police, asking for it to stop.
That's
And they've seen that letter, they've had the letter, and took no action. So that's why we've taken it into our own hands.
Yeah. And it takes a really special person to just be that one to say, I don't care how big this is, it's not bigger than me, because I think a lot of the time that's why people don't get involved, because they'll just be like, I'm just one person, what can I do?
Yeah.
And just carry on with their life. Whereas you ladies are like, I don't care, we're not just one person, and this is going to stop no matter what it costs, and that's really amazing to see. So thank you for doing that and for sharing that with us.
That's the power of a mother's love, isn't it?
Absolutely.
Absolute power.
Absolutely.
Yeah.
Wonderful. Ladies, thank you so much for your time. I'm going to play the end video here, and hopefully I'll see you ladies in a few minutes.
Thank you.
Bye.
Okay, bye. Bye.
Hey.